Hello and welcome to Unacademy. I welcome you all to the Hindu analysis. Before we begin, as always, do remember that on 12th of January, we have the UCSC test, a very important form of revision for anybody who is giving it for 2025. For 2026, this may be your chance to join us with up to 90% scholarship. You can get a laptop, smartphone, or gift vouchers also. So for anybody who is preparing, use this as a way of a mock test. Everything related to this is given in the description box. Just register for free. All of this is a free, you can say, initiative, scholarship test for the students who want to join at a discounted price. And on the other hand, for the students who are giving the examination this year, you can use it as a way of revision. You will find the PDF of this session in this Telegram channel. Just scan it and join it. Good morning to all of you. Now, today's newspaper, there's not a lot for a UPSC aspirant, and even the editorials were in a way not very useful. But the first two, which is how AI is getting integrated into military, what are the, you can say, obstacles in that. Second, there's a National Youth Festival which is going to happen. But because the Minister of State, the MOS to that ministry has written this article, it is not very useful for a UPSC aspirant generally, but has given us 2 to 3 points to discuss, which we will discuss. Thereafter, we'll talk about something related to art and culture. This is very, very important. Certain art and culture news, certain, you can say, handicrafts in the news will help you in the prelims examination. I have an MCQ here. I have an MCQ here for you so that you can practice. Further, there is an award which was given by the president at the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. We'll discuss that, what is the context of that award. Thereafter, something which we've discussed previously in the science section and on a separate day itself, which is how we've already crossed 1.5 degrees Celsius, but we have confirmation for that from other agencies also. And last but not the least, you can say update on what SpaDeX is doing. So today it's not extensive, unlike yesterday where we had a lot of static and a lot of data to cover. This is more easier, straightforward, and you can say more projective. You have more, you can say, flexibility in these topics rather than the topics which we've been discussing in the past 2 to 3 days. So with this, let's start. I hope everybody's here and good morning to all of you. Can we discuss and start our analysis now? Yes? Abhijit says yes. Okay, perfect. Now, the first topic deals with AI and the military. Now, we know that artificial intelligence is a buzzword nowadays. Every phone is made or upgraded with this concept of adding AI to it. And we have AI being used as Apple Intelligence also. We have the Gemini program. We have OpenAI. We have ChatGPT. We have now, in a way, AI is getting even more integrated into our systems, into our phones, into our day-to-day lives. But AI in military is also considered very, very important because it is believed that AI is the future of the military because artificial intelligence can help us in multiple forms and multiple ways. Now, what the author points out is that India, with such a big budget for defense, not comparable to the US, however, with 6 lakh crore rupees being allocated as a defense budget, and there are multiple, you can say, points which the budget even notes and the defenses also talk about, which is the military organizations, the military, you can say, wings are also talking about AI and AI integration. Recently, we had something happening in Telangana, which is called the Indrajal. Indrajal is an AI-based anti-drone system, which can identify a drone and thereafter also destroy that drone, neutralize it. So therefore, with new AI level technologies and even an understanding with Microsoft being created, we are seeing that AI is getting more and more integrated into the military and the defense sector. And this is the future. There are multiple applications of AI in the military also. So if you talk about training, it can help you create simulations. It can help you do repetitive tasks. It can help soldiers in a way train better. Then in arms and ammunition, it can allow guns and technologies, even the, you can say, radar technologies to become better and allow for better scanning and surveillance. Logistically, big data is important. The spatial understanding the geospatial data. All that data can be analyzed more quickly, which will help us in better surveillance. And in the age when cyber security is again a buzzword, with cyber attacks happening left, right, and center, AI can help us preempt it and also tackle it. So data integration, cyber security, surveillance, training, logistics, big data, machine learning, and AI together are seen to be the solutions for most of the tasks which are done in a repetitive manner, and it can be integrated into systems to make them better. Russia-Ukraine war itself is showing us multiple, you can say, vulnerabilities to drone technology. So anti-drone technology and UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, are becoming a bigger issue. And therein, AI technology is becoming more and more, interestingly, you can say, the future of defense and future of deterrence towards drone or any form of UAVs. So let's be very clear. AI is the future. Government of India has also identified that AI is the future. The Government of India has very categorically said that we want integration of AI also into the defense sector, and therefore we are pivoting towards defense. We are making the right noises when it comes to the fact that we want defense and AI going together. But the article says that as much as for predictive analytics, for revolutionizing the defense sector from autonomous decision making systems, all these things will get a lot of boost from AI. There are multiple challenges which India first has to overcome in order to integrate AI into the defense sector. This is the relevant portion of this article. It tries to give you a lot of data and concepts which may be quite relevant for the larger part of your preparation. So I hope you understand the context here, which is AI is an important part of what we call as defense surveillance and deterrence, and therefore AI's integration, I think we all can agree, is something which will only add to the concept of our what we call as defense technologies and defense deterrence. Yes? Okay. See, AI has its vulnerabilities also, but the point is, as of right now, we keep the ethical issues aside, we keep the what we call as hacking and the regulatory issues aside. We take it in a very simple, how the author is taking it, in a very straightforward face value manner, that if today I want to integrate AI, even after knowing most of its vulnerabilities and drawbacks, what are the obstacles which I need to finally overcome or have to overcome in order to integrate it? Tarak, if you get the point, that is a separate issue altogether. Here it is about, okay, I want to integrate AI with the military. What are the obstacles which are in between there, right? So everybody understand the context should be clear. Why are we having this conversation? The context is AI integration into military is a good thing with its own vulnerabilities. Now let us identify the challenges of those vulnerabilities. Okay. Now, the first point which he says is that artificial intelligence does not bring up or create its own data. You need to feed data into AI. Meaning, today if you go to ChatGPT and write any question, ChatGPT is not learning it and telling it to you. It is just collating it out of the internet and then giving it to you. That is why most of the questions of UPSC or in history, the ChatGPT will give you wrong answers, because it will pick up out of 5 to 6, 7 different, you can say, websites, and will collate that data and give it to you. So it is a collation based concept rather than creation based concept. AI systems, the narrow AI as it is called, is about taking an input and giving you an output. That input is based on the data set it is taking, and output is based on that whole concept. Now what we have first is lack of digital data to train the systems. What we mean by this is, because most of our military is based on the concept of what we call as paper-based trails, or don't really keep a digital trail of the data, on what will I teach my AI to identify an ally, an enemy, or identify the terrain of India? Meaning, the data set itself is not there, and there's a need to digitize the system. That is equally problematic because the more you digitize your sensitive data, the more it is prone to cyber security or cyber hacks and data leaks. So it's a slippery slope, meaning the server has to be fed something. But if you feed the what we call as data into a digital platform, that digital platform itself becomes a vulnerability because all our sensitive data has now been digitized. If the AI can be trained on it, it can also be hacked and cyber security based threats come through. So therefore, there's a reason why we keep a lot of our data in paper trail. There's a reason why we keep it on burner phones and burner laptops. There's a reason why we don't store most of the sensitive data in a certain way, because that leads to multiple forms of vulnerability. So as much as this is a problem, this is also a strategy which India uses in order to make sure that our sensitive data is not pushed into the, you can say, enemy hands or any irritant because of data leaks and data hack. This is a very simple, straightforward concept, which is that lack of data which needs to be trained or which is needed to be trained to train the AI is not there as a strategic reason. And therefore, we would need to change the behavior of the military forces and the data which we have in order to therefore, in a way, feed the AI. This is one of the biggest challenges which we face, which is most of our trail is in paper, very, you can say, aptly and strategically kept in a certain way. And therefore, we would need to change the data set, which is problematic. Second is that you need data centers. You need servers. You need software. You need hardware to integrate AI. And these are very expensive. Very, very expensive. Mostly, Aman. That is where they have created a new platform called Sora. That's a separate issue altogether. But ChatGPT will not give you output images as it is. It will take you to another platform, or Sora will be there. So data centers, server, software and hardware, these are very expensive things. And the problem is that what is our priority? If you remember, previously I've discussed that India has a lot of MiG-21s, has Sukhoi MKI 30s, 30K, we have Jaguars, and we have Mirage 1, 3, 1 and 2000. Though Mirage 2000 is still very, very, you can say, still 4th generation fighter. The original Mirage series, the Jaguars, the MiG-21s, all need to be replaced. These are called legacy aircrafts with new generation aircrafts. Now, if you need new generation aircrafts for legacy aircrafts, I leave it to you to decide, should we push in that 6 lakh crore in creating these data centers, or should we be modernizing our, you can say, military with regards to aircrafts, aircraft carriers, or anything related to physical assets which are needed in the war? Where will you draw the line, and what is your priority? Data centers will be expensive. Now, this is where Government of India and our defense forces are caught up in these two things, which is, should I be able to create data centers? Should I push money there? But that would then impact the ability of the Air Force, the Navy, the Army to then not procure new generation weapons. Where do we then draw the line? What is our priority here? And most of you are totally correct, is modernization. Because a MiG-21 as it is would not integrate with an AI-based technology. So the problem of modernization of our army, our navy and our air force therefore creates a dichotomy where we can't really decide where to push the money. Should it go into data centers? Should it go into the concept of priorities? So the idea is that you have to take a call, and the military has to take the call, The government of India has to take the call. How do they shift the money into certain channels? The fourth thing which is problematic is fragmented policies on AI, which is we have grand plans, but we have no guidelines and we have no deployment. This is a very interesting point which he makes, is that as much as we can have so many different concepts, wherein you have the concept of AI-based revolution thought about in multiple different channels, the problem is there is no deployment of that plan, there are no guidelines, and every ministry has a separate AI-based, you can say, guideline or plan. This is called fragmented politics or policies. What is happening is we do not have a unified vision. If there's a unified vision, then I integrate my commerce and trade ministry based what we call as AI generation with my transport ministry, with my defense. Therefore, there should be a spectrum of AI which is developed, which helps in all three rather than only one. So what we are doing is we are coming up with these plans, but we are not talking about how we will deploy them in the proper sense and in the proper way. And therefore, we also have what is called as inertia. Inertia is there is a lot of, you can say, mistrust with regards to AI. Even our Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister in different platforms have said that we have to be cautious, and that is a very important point. We have to be cautious because AI can be the solution but can also be a threat in itself. From narrow spectrum AI to broad spectrum where AI itself starts to become more aware. We have seen in Japan multiple robots becoming aware, trying to download the files of their own repair. We have multiple cases where AI has become, in a way, not at that case of being self-aware, but showing tendencies of awareness. This is where we also have to not just blindly trust. And that is where in India, we have multiple channels, multiple dignitaries talking about AI in a very cautious way, that we need to also move in a very, you can say, slow manner, and in a manner in which we have to understand it in the best way possible and also deploy it in the best way possible. This is a very important point which you need to understand, which is AI is, yes, a very interesting potentiality, but it also has its own vulnerabilities. A very big vulnerability being AI can also take over, and what is stopping the irritants, the enemies, from weaponizing the AI in order to use our systems against us itself. And this is where you have to understand that there's a certain mistrust which we have developed, and in a way it is also understandable with the examples available. Do we have any issue in these 5 points? Do we have any issues in the 5 points? Reminder, I will take up your question in the end that is not related to this session. I will figure it out with you, don't worry. Do we understand? No issues with these? Okay, so we understand these 5 points. Then we move to the 6th point and the 7th point, which is the most important obstacle as of right now. The first point she says is issues of interoperability, or what is called as operation based issues, where she actually says, that the Navy, the Air Force and the Army, all three use different set of equipment, different set of communications, different set of systems, and therefore linking these three together is going to be problematic. Linking these three is going to be very problematic. Meaning an AI which is able to work in all the three zones is going to be very difficult to manage. And as it is, data is not available. So therefore, a universal AI coming together to create a structure in which all three services are taken into account is a very difficult task. A difficult task. And because you would also know, can I say that all the equipment which we use in India is also made in India? Be it software or be it hardware? What would be the answer to that question? All the softwares which we use in Navy, Air Force, Army, are they originating from the same country? Are they all indigenous? Or are they all based on the same system? And the answer to that question is a very big no. Because we take some, you can say, equipment from the Russians, some from the French, some from the Americans. Now, you tell me, how will I integrate an AI in a, for example, a Apache helicopter at the same point of time in a Rafale, you can say, system. Rafale, French system, Apache helicopter, American system. If I'm using a Lockheed Martin based, you can say, system, how will I integrate an AI into a Lockheed Martin based system, and also, for example, a Russian system which uses a totally different algorithm? So the idea is, because we don't have our own equipment, we don't develop our own systems also, this AI integration is going to be very, very, very difficult, because there is too much, the problem of interportability and interoperationability is a very big problem. Because if I take a Sukhoi, if I take a Su-30, I would have to change it for the Navy. Then I have a K in the end. Su-31K, 30K. Because there is a little bit of difference between how a MiG-29, for example, is used by the Air Force and MiG-29 is used by the Navy. So MiG-29 and MiG-29K are very different, because a smaller runway means that these systems have to be different. And therefore, there is a lot of issues in bringing in everything together. There's no homogeneity within the defense or the defense systems or in the equipment itself. And this is where it creates a very big issue. The second aspect which comes out of this itself is, we have over emphasis on PSUs and PSU based development, which again is a strategic move, but also will create a lot of issues. Meaning, in India, most of the equipment which we are developing ourselves are either PSUs, are fully owned government subsidiaries, and the problem is that we will not be able to, you can say, accelerate their production. So either we go for PPP model, which recently Tata did, but private companies from India, like the way we developed the Indrajal, it's a Hyderabad-based private company. Private companies have to partner, because the level of investment and the level of technology which is needed, there will be inertia and slow development within PSUs. This is again that government versus private concept. A government-based PSU is going to take, a public sector undertaking is going to take time to develop the same technology, where we can have specialized private companies which are monitored by the government, because these are very sensitive zones and a lot of sensitive data is going to be shared with these private companies. Not that you randomly go to anyone, but the idea is private companies and PPP model has to be embraced further and in a better way in order to make sure that AI gets integrated. So therefore, there are 7 issues which are identified by this article, which deals with lack of data to feed the AI, lack of data centers which are expensive, priority of removing what we call as legacy aircrafts and having modernized equipment, and thereafter we have fragmented, you can say, policies with regards to AI itself, and thereafter mistrust is there with regards to the what we call as AI based concept itself. There's a lot of mistrust, and interportability, the way the 3 services are going to use it, and how overemphasis is there on PSUs makes this journey problematic. So I hope you have now 7 points to write in the examination for a question, something related to like this. Whilst integration of AI in defense is the future, there are multiple roadblocks in doing so in India. Elucidate. So I hope you understand how to write an answer for this. Which type of data is not available? In point 6, data which can be used in between a Russian and an American aircraft. That is what is called an issue of interportability. But if we focus on interportability of AI and buy weapons mostly from a single nation, then it would be against the diversification. If we focus on Satyam, the answer is not to buy from others, it is to develop our own. And an AI which needs to be integrated into all defense services has to be developed from own. We can't outsource the concept of AI because that creates one more vulnerability. See, it is a Pandora's box. Once I open up these topics further, you will see that each of them have their own vulnerabilities. AI based, what we call as integration into defense, cannot happen from a third party. It has to be within Indian boundaries. It has to be an Indian company. It has to be a PSU or PPP based understanding. And it has to be by the, you can say, men and women whose vision is to protect India and not sell it at any given cost. This is where PPP is considered very important, because the critical data can be managed by the PSU and the more advanced data can be managed by the private sector. You have to understand this very clearly, that at the end of the day, all these 7 points have their own issues. The problem with AI is at the same point of time a curse and a, you can say, boon. Meaning it can give you a lot of things, but it can also introduce us to a lot of issues which come through integration. So this type of question can then be modified. I can give you one more type of question if you want, which is AI integration the need of the hour? The need of the hour in defense. What are the vulnerabilities of using AI in critical sectors? 250 words, you can get a question like this also. Now, basically, the difference between the first and the second is called tone. The first presumes that AI is important. It's a positively toned question on AI. The second one is a negatively toned question. This is a very important art which you have to develop, which is to pick up the tone of the question. So, the first point, you cannot be, AI is not the future, AI is going to destroy everything, everything is going to go out of hand, we all are dead. This is not the way you are going to write the first answer. You have to show the positive side of AI. But the second one is the one where it is asking you to criticize AI being used in the defense sector or critical sectors. This is where you can talk about the vulnerabilities, the problems, the data breaches, the concept of data security, the concept of cyber security, the weaponization, the concept of self-awareness in AI. So I hope you get the point. You get the point that this topic has both angles to it. The article had a certain tone. I have absorbed that tone. I am giving it to you. Way forward is very simply PPP. We have to integrate the systems better, create the data set. Every challenge, if you reverse it, Harshit, becomes the way forward. Meaning, what is the way forward? Data for training. You can say a balance between the data centers and modernization. The concept of a unified AI policy. Mistrust being removed by confidence building. Thereafter, data being used throughout the three services being in a way brought together, and PPP model. So every point which I've given you, the challenges which I've given you are also the solutions if you actually just change the tone of the question or the tone of the point itself. Does this make sense, everyone? Are we on the same page? Interesting topic based on something related to the concept. Development of common global standards. Very good. Very good. Standard. These are very standard answers or standard points which you write in the answer, which is we have to develop interoperability, these, that, standard protocols. Very good. Perfect. Now, the next topic is, how do I put it, that because it has been written by the Union Minister of State of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, it is not an opinion, but more like an advertisement. Meaning, it tries to talk about this National Youth Festival which is happening on 12th of January, which is tomorrow. And it is happening on the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda on what is called as the National Youth Day. Now the problem is that there's not a lot to be taken out. It's like a Yojana article, same point made one after the other, back to back. But because it is from the Minister of State, we can take out certain points which may help us in the long run. And the idea is, how does the youth fit in Viksit Bharat, in New India, in our journey of going forward? And this is where the National Youth Festival, which is happening, there are multiple points which have been emphasized in this Viksit Bharat Youth Leader Dialogue, which is happening within the National Youth Festival. And the idea is what are the points which the Minister of State, the MOS, is trying to push. And she uses one, you can say, body, or talks about one autonomous body, which may look like more a Ministry of External Affairs type understanding, rather than looking like youth and sports. So therefore, what I'm trying to do here, or what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to identify certain points which you can sprinkle around in the GS paper 2 and 3. But more than that, one prelims question I want to practice with you in order to log this concept for you properly. If there was not even this, I would not have taken the article, because it would then have become just one random advertisement for a certain National Youth Festival, which is not the purpose of a UPSC aspirant. What you have to have is critical thinking and understanding. So there are certain points which she has pushed. She argues that this year's National Youth Festival, which is going to happen tomorrow, we will have coverage for this tomorrow also in CNA. There are 4 or rather 5 very important points which are going to be emphasized in this, you can say, festival. And this can help you. This can help you in giving a little bit of, you can say, context for writing a better answer. So, for example, this year there will be focus on sustainable development within this youth festival, to make the youth of India more and more, you can say, conscious of the sustainable development goals, but also emphasize on a path which is sustainably developed. Meaning, any development has to be in a more environmentally conscious way. And the idea is that this is a certain value which they want to imbibe into the youth of India. Second, they want to show to the youth and emphasize role of technology and innovation, which is that technology and innovation are the path to a better India. So therefore, R&D is something which the youth should get involved in, research and development. Then this year there will be also more digital participation, and the virtual presence of this, you can say, festival will allow all parts of India to take part in it. Again, you can see, looks like an official document, the points I'm saying. Thereafter, they will also talk about digital entrepreneurship, that we have to also create the new businesses, and the youth is the force which creates the startups, and entrepreneurship is a very important value which they should have. And last but not the least is, they will also engage with the leaders of different sectors under this youth festival in order to basically learn from them. Now, you can look at these points, and I think you can understand that there's nothing out of the box here. It's a government document which has been printed as an editorial and basically makes the same points in the 3 sections. Not to be problematic, but for a UPSC aspirant, there's nothing to be you can say startled by or nothing to be learned here, because you know sustainable development is important, you know technology is important, you know digital presence is important, entrepreneurship is an important aspect, or the engagement with leaders is important. So it is the Ministry of Youth and Sports which is doing this. You can see she's the Union Minister of State of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. So basically it's just a Government of India document. If you can look at these 3 points, which is the features of this year, the dialogue, this is the point which I want to emphasize on, which is the concept of My Bharat. This is a point I want to discuss. But before I do that, are we all here on the same page? Nothing out of the box, nothing very complex to be learned, just points which can be used in different aspects. I want everybody's consent here that yes sir, we understand these 5 points. I will use it in the examination to also talk about how youth is the future of India, this and that. Okay, perfectly fine. Now, she talks about a certain body which is called Mera Yuva Bharat. Mera Yuva Bharat, which is called My Bharat. Now, looking at My Bharat, it seems to be a certain program which may not be linked to youth affairs and sports, because My Bharat seems to be more like a external affairs or cultural ministry based, what we call as body, and therefore I want to emphasize that MY is Mera Yuva. So in the examination, if you do get a question, I have a question for you. Be sure that this is an autonomous body. It's an autonomous body under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Youth Affairs and Sports. This is a very important point I want to emphasize. So, on one hand, that is, Satyam, the irony, I did not want to make that same point, which is Great Nicobar, Northeast, or we have the Panna Tiger Reserve. There are multiple places where we have this issue of environmental damage vis-a-vis sustainable development. But as I said, because she is the Minister of State, she is not going to write about these things. This is called reading the tone of the article. The article tone is extremely positive, and she basically has nothing to do with these other things. So she is only saying, we are organizing a festival. These are the points we want to emphasize. And My Bharat is the body which is helping us do it. My Bharat is the body which is helping us do it. So how will you use this information in the examination? Like this. Consider the following statements. You will give me the answer in the chat box. My Bharat is an autonomous body under the Ministry of External Affairs. This body facilitates engagement with the diasporic population of India across the world. What is the answer to this question? Please tell me in the chat box. Everybody is going to write the answer. I am looking at the chat box there. What is the answer to this question? Okay. Some of you are saying D, some of you are saying C. And there's a reason some of you are saying C and some of you are saying D. Read the question properly. Which of the following is incorrect? Incorrect means that what the people who are answering as D, your answer actually becomes B. Actually becomes C. A is incorrect and B is, both the statements are incorrect. If you are answering D, you are basically looking at this as correct. The answer is C. Both 1 and 2 are incorrect statements. So the reason why I had this question is firstly to emphasize this, My Bharat, and second, read closely, please. Read closely. If you're not going to read closely, it will in turn lead to these silly mistakes which you should not do. So I hope the basic takeaway from this article is sorted and you are also in a better position to now identify these types of bodies and you understand how to read an article like this also. I've given you 5 basic points out of it and we have also discussed this question. Sorted. For the students who will watch this in recording, I want you to also answer it in the chat box before you come to this point. Okay. Now, the next topic is related to the concept of art and culture. And there is something called the at-home function which happens. This year is going to be very significant for India with regards to 75 years of becoming a republic. And the Rashtrapati Bhavan did not want to just send small cards to the people who are going to come for the at-home function after the Republic Day and the Independence Day. Rather, the president wants this to be a special occasion. And the way she is going to make this special, and she's emphasized this herself, is by sending a gift box to everybody who gets the invitation of at home. When you will become an IS officer, if you're posted in Delhi, you will also get a at home invitation after beating retreat and after the, you can say, speech of the Prime Minister on Independence Day. So these are very standard things. At home functions happen for the president, happen at the Prime Minister's residence also, will happen in your services also in that regard. Standard protocol things. But this time it becomes very significant because she has now tried to integrate the youth, not just the youth, but the artisans of India, which is in the NID Bangalore campus. Rashtrapati Bhavan is getting curated gifts made out of GI tagged products of India. Now, what are the GI tags which need to be taken into consideration? First is the bamboo weaved, you can say, box in which it will go, which will have kalamkari painting out of one specific state. Then the box will also include an Pochampalli eye-cut cover. I will show you this in one slide, don't worry. And it will also have what is called as the Ganjifa art and the Ganjifa playing cards as a part of it. Thereafter, there will also be a pouch which will be made out of the Kanjivaram silk which comes from Tamil Nadu. And there will be a small male or female doll made from the Etikopakka dolls of Andhra Pradesh, a very important GI tag, you can say, product coming from Andhra Pradesh itself. Now, let's try to learn it here itself so that you don't need any other source to learn it. So, we have Pochampalli eye-cut as the pencil pouch which will go through. This is coming from Telangana. Please note this. This is going to be the most important concept. Pochampalli eye-cut Telangana. Then we have the Etikopakka toys which are coming from Andhra Pradesh. Then we will have the kalamkari on the bamboo which is known for not just in one specific sector, but in South India we have multiple forms of kalamkari. The Andhra Pradesh kalamkari and the Tamil Nadu kalamkari known the best. And we will have Tamil Nadu Kanchipuram silk pouches which will be there. And to add to it, the Ganjifa cards which come from Mysore and therefore Karnataka. So, very simply, we have these 4 to 5 things which have been talked about in the gift bag, GI tagged gift bags which will go from the Rashtrapati Bhavan to everybody who is going to get it. Now, I have a question for you here. Now, basically, I'll repeat it because I want you to answer it in the right way. Pochampalli eye-cut is Telangana. This is from Andhra Pradesh, the toys which we are talking about. Thereafter, kalamkari, not specific to any state, but mostly comes out of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Kanchipuram obviously is Tamil Nadu. And Ganjifa cards are Mysore, Karnataka. Either in the examination you will get the state or the specific place. So now I'll push a poll to you. You will answer this question properly. Consider the following pairs. The Etikopakka dolls, Ganjifa art, Pochampalli eye-cut, Telangana, Mysore, Andhra Pradesh. Which of them is correctly matched, or how many of them are correctly matched? I just want an answer from all of you. Come on. Simple, straightforward topics, As I said, today's newspaper did not have a lot for a UPSC aspirant. So therefore, I'm trying to practice as much as possible with you so that we can get everything sorted here itself. Unlike yesterday where we had a lot of things to understand, here the newspaper was much lighter, or rather for a UPSC aspirant does not have a lot to offer. Okay, the trend is in the right space. The trend is in the right space. The students who are answering one specific thing, which is the right one, which is actually, yes, very good. You've already done. Eduverse has already answered. I'll give it 1 more minute. I want everybody to answer this question properly. Acha, it is okay. So we'll end the poll here. So the only one which is properly matched is the Ganjifa Art Mysore. These two have been reversed. So only one pair is correct. 2 pairs are incorrect. The dolls are coming from Andhra Pradesh and the iCut comes from Telangana. This is a process of learning, evaluation, and I hope you will remember these 3 arts now. GI tagged arts, important for one specific reason, because now the government of India has also identified these as being very important in that regard. Are we sorted with regards to this topic? Again, small but interesting and important for art and culture based current affairs. Right? Okay. Now, moving on, the last major update which comes through from the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, which basically has captured the imagination on 8th, 9th and 10th of January. 9th being the day for the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Just to check if you have been following what we are doing, why is 9th Jan important and why is Pravasi Bharatiya Divas done on 9th Jan? What is the answer to that question? What is the answer to that question? Why 9th Jan is an important date and why Pravasi Bharatiya? Which personality is linked to 9th Jan? Refresh the chat. Great. So that is in 1915, 9 January 1915, Mahatma Gandhi came back to India from South Africa to market. Perfect. So your static with regards to Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is sorted. As it is, we've been discussing it in multiple contexts. We had a discussion of, if you remember, Dhauli elephant. Dhauli elephant is related to which dynasty? What is the answer to that question? Dhauli elephant related to which dynasty of ancient India? Again, checking if you watched yesterday's video and if you have the understanding. Very good. Perfect. Mauryan dynasty, Ashoka. Ashoka created Dhauli elephant as a way of spreading his message of Dhamma, and it is a reminder of the Kalinga War. Very good. Perfect. So, Mauryan. Great. Now, why am I having the discussion related to this? Is because yesterday the president gave a very specific type of award within this, you can say, diasporic movement. And that award is called Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award. Now, why is it important? Because this is given to multiple 26 people received it with the chairman itself. Now the question was, why were these 26 people given this Samman Award? Now the criteria matter and it is important for the examination. So it is given to overseas Indians who have done good for India and for the nation in which they are there. And it is the highest honor conferred to an NRI or to a person of Indian origin, and it is given by the President of India. That is why it was conferred yesterday. The idea is if you are contributing as a diasporic population outstandingly to help India, to highlight India, or are helping as an Indian some other country, then we try to identify your contribution through this Samman Award. So for Pravasi Bhartiyas, which are mostly the OCIs or the PIOs or the NRIs, this is considered to be a very important award. It can also be given to organizations and institutions. So remember, it is given to individuals. It is also given to organizations which are run by NRIs and PIOs. This was the first thing which caught our attention in this article. Further, there was one more thing which is equally important, which is a program which was started, which is called No India program. Now, No India program has been started for the younger members of the diasporic population because they should also rediscover their Indian roots. Basically, these are children of the NRIs, the PIOs, who may have not experienced Indian culture, may have not been born and brought up in India itself. So, No India program and the Pravasi Bhartiya Samman Award were two highlights of this yesterday. And what is important is No India program allows the youth, which is now, this basically links up with the concept of what we call today as the National Youth Festival. Yes, the Ministry of External Affairs is running this program for the members of, or younger members, the youth of the NRIs and the PIOs to connect with their roots, because this will allow them to contribute to India, to come back to India, to help India to grow and to have or create new India in that regard. So, in the past 10 to 15 minutes, I've discussed 3 to 4 important concepts with you. The eye-cuts, the saris, and the GI tagged, you can say the artisanal craft in that regard. On the other hand, I've discussed Pravasi Bhartiya Samman Award and No India program. You should be able to identify these things. So from My Bharat to the concept of Pochampally eye-cut, to Kanchipuram saris, to the concept of the dolls, to No India program, though very short but very important terminologies have been introduced. This is Ministry of Youth and Sports. These are from the context of GIs, and we have the Ganjifa art, which is also talked about with Rashtrapati Bhavan. And No India program and the Pravasi Bhartiya Samman Award are all related to the Ministry of External Affairs. So 2 ministries talked about, 1 the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Are we sorted with regards to this? Because then I'll move on to the last 2 articles, straightforward, simple, not out of the box. One we've already discussed is with regards to the science section previously. I want everybody's consent here. As I said, the newspaper today was much light. So therefore, Saturday, Sunday newspaper as it is sometimes gives a breather to a UPSC aspirant. Now, the second last concept which we discussed today is something which I discussed with you previously only, that there are multiple scientific studies which have argued that we have already gone over the 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now, if you've been following environment, you would know that since Paris Climate Agreement, 1.5 degrees Celsius now being converted into 2 degrees Celsius for some reason, because we've not met it, that is why. But 1.5 degrees Celsius was considered a very big number, meaning if the mean temperature of the earth goes over by 1.5 degrees Celsius from the pre-industrial levels, the world will go into a certain downward spiral where we will not be able to do what we call as any form of remedy, and it will in turn lead to a point of never coming back. Now, for the past 4 to 5 years, IPCC used to say that we have reached 1.1 degrees Celsius. That we've reached 1.1 degrees Celsius, we are still away from it. However, now that 2024 data is available to us, we've already breached or reached that 1.5 degrees Celsius. The Copernicus Climate Change Service, which is considered to be very an authoritative body which talks about historical trends in climate change, it is arguing that we in 2024 have reached the 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level threshold. Meaning, till 2023 we were under it, 2024 we are above it. Now we have reached that point where you were arguing that 1.5 degrees Celsius is important. Now as it is, other UN based bodies are saying, no, 1.5, so we were trying to just being in a way a little bit candid. It was actually 2 degrees Celsius. So now 1.5 we have reached. So now they're talking about 2 degrees Celsius. So the idea is still 0.5 degree we have. But the climate studies are saying that this is a point from which it will reach 2 degrees Celsius very quickly. Whilst it took us a decade to reach 1.5 degrees Celsius, we are now, the IPCC report was from 2022 and 23, it also actually argued plus 1.1 degrees Celsius. It is this report which has totally debunked it. All reports which came after 2024 with extreme weather events are saying 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold reached. So now, how do we understand this comparative data? Basically, the average temperature was 15.1 degrees Celsius. In 2024, that was the warmest year in global temperature records. Going back to 1850, was 0.72 degrees Celsius above 1991 and 2020 levels, 0.12 degrees Celsius higher than 2023, and 1.6 degrees Celsius above 1850 and 1900. So basically, 1900 and 1850, the second wave of industrial revolution happens in 1850. That is considered to be the pre-industrial level. From 1850 to 2024, we are 1.6 degrees Celsius higher than what it was. Now, this was the argument that 1.5, 1.5, so 1.6. So, the idea is very simple. We have breached it. So, there is nobody now going to believe, at least we as the you can say citizens of the earth should not believe that we are still far away from that 1.5 degrees Celsius. We've already reached that. And whilst 1 year may not change the whole, you can say, parameters, it is not that just 1 year can in turn lead to catastrophe. It has to happen over decades, meaning if we remain 1.5 degrees Celsius and towards 2 degrees Celsius for the next 2 to 3 years or maybe 10 years. For example, we are above 1.6 degrees Celsius for the next 10 years. Then we will see some form of, you can say, tangible damage and tangible point. But the experts are saying with 2024 reaching 1.6 degrees Celsius, this is a point of no return, meaning we will not be able to cool down the earth further. We will be able to remain at 1.5 degrees Celsius. That in itself is a very big thing. This is where the article very clearly points out, and we have already discussed this. 4 climate summits happened in 2024. UNFCCC, UNCCD, UNCBD, and the Plastic INC. All were inconclusive. Nothing came out. And it was mostly on climate finance, it was on accountability, and it was on transparency. If you remember that, you can say CNA, where I had a very long discussion with regards UNFCCC, UNCBD, CCD, and INC. We had a very long discussion on how all of these failed within the year of 2024. Now, this is where we are reaching to a point where the West is not ready to contribute, where the West is leaving its common but differentiated responsibility. There is no agreement on the earth with regards to what is the climate finance. Nobody is talking about or nobody is discussing on how to go forward. At the point when we are the most divided, we have already reached to a point which was always considered to be problematic. If 2024 is not enough evidence for the world community to come together and keep it at 1.6 degrees Celsius, then we all are doomed. Because then, if you know the earth, the boundaries are man-made. If the earth will burn, what we are seeing in Los Angeles as of right now, which is happening, the forest fire which has now engulfed thousands of houses, close to 1,200 houses gutted and burnt. The tsunamis, the earthquakes, and the cyclones, along with forest fires and sea level, will not differentiate between A nation, B nation, and C nation. It will impact everybody equally. And therefore, the idea is it will impact some more than others, but it will be uniform. It is the earth which is heating, not a country. And therefore, if we all do not have a resolve to bring all of these concepts together, and if we cannot agree, then we are already doomed, because this will become 2 degrees Celsius. And maybe after 1 year, I'll be telling you in the CNA, okay, this same Copernicus, like last year I said 1.6 degrees Celsius, it has reached 2 degrees Celsius. It has reached 2 degrees Celsius. So climate deniers, or be it these different form of governments, or be it America, be it anybody, if we are going to have the same type of attitude which we have throughout 2024, we are on the path of destruction. All this AI, all this defense, all of these things will remain where they are, and Earth will warm over a point which will in turn lead to catastrophic decline and destruction of Earth itself. So let's be very honest, it's not just bombs, Kirti. The idea is these are things which have to be taken into consideration. If we can reverse ozone depletion by banning CFCs, HFCs, we can also come together and change this prerogative so that we all can come to an agreement. If we are still prioritizing other things over environment, which is again a call for you as an aspirant, because you are the future of India, you are the future IAS officer. If as an IAS officer, the environment is the third thing which you think about, then we are doomed. It is just a matter of a decade or so. We already have enough evidence to say that environment is in a state of destruction. This is where we all have to come together. The Americans can't say that, and that is where their dumbness comes through. They are seeing the maximum amount of hurricanes. They are seeing the maximum amount of damage when it comes to their cities which were never touched previously. They are now being destroyed because of that. So there is, as of right now, water scarcity in most of the cities in America. And at one point of time, there is flooding, and at the other spectrum, there is forest fires. So let's be very honest. You and me don't hold the key to this. You and me don't, as of right now. You will hold the key to this as the next foreign minister, as the next cabinet secretary, or as the secretary of the government of India. But the point of the matter is, that is where we come through. We will make sure that you reach to that point. But we as a generation have failed. You as a generation have to now become climately conscious. Further generations have to be conscious. That is the point. Again, I'm trying to link it up with the concept of the sustainable development and the concept of youth in that regard. It is misplaced priorities. It is pure misplaced priorities. This is where the artificial differences between all of us are making sure that we doom as a civilization, as a humankind, as a species. This is the biggest issue which we see here. It is not about countries, it is about everyone. And let's be very honest, India is still doing quite a lot. With its limited capacity, with its more expensive path to development, we are trying to develop ISA, we are trying to meet our NDCs, we are still adding forests, and we have thousands and thousands of climate deniers who are doing the other thing itself. So again, no way forward here other than awareness, other than reducing our carbon footprint. But as Indians, we already have a very less carbon footprint. If you and me are going to buy electric cars and these Americans are going to use gas guzzling trucks for one person, then what is the point? Then what's the point itself? So mitigation, adaptation has to be done at a civilizational level, at the human level, not by single countries. So it's not that India and China are the only reason why the whole earth is warming. So therefore, there has to be convergence. If there's no sense of urgency which still cannot develop within us, then this is a problem. And as the youth of India, you should make climate justice, climate change, and climate sustainability based development the priority of this nation. At least we can start somewhere at our own level. Are we clear? Because this is the third time I'm talking to you about how we have reached the tipping point. So multilateral agencies have already faced us, but because they do not have accountability, because people don't hold their representatives accountable for this, and therefore it creates a cascading effect. You and me don't care, so our representatives don't care, so countries don't care, and therefore we as species don't care. So let's not be the next story of extinction on this earth. I may be sounding like a pessimist, but I'm trying to introduce a sense of urgency. But the point is, the people who should feel this urgency still don't have any form of consciousness towards it. These are artificial, man-made issues are not allowing us to work together. And this is where we all have to come together as a species. This is what I'm trying to give you I'm trying to give you an answer to any form of essay. In any form of essay, you have to talk about not just country-based action. It has to be a unified approach of every nation. India alone cannot reverse climate change. So let's not say that our government is not doing enough. Climate change can only be reversed. We can remain within one or at this point of 1.6 degrees Celsius only if we all come together. Right? Okay. On this note, something which we have been talking about again and has been delayed twice. I had told you on 7th Jan, we will go on for the docking between the two satellites which were launched under SpaDeX. However, in the process of them being in the orbit, they had drifted apart, and they had drifted in such a way that they would never be able to dock. Finally, India, the ISRO has started to do orbital correction maneuvers, and as of Saturday, they will come 500 meters to each other. And I hope that next week I have the privilege, and at least we can rejoice and say that ISRO was able to do something very difficult, which is dock two satellites together, making us the 4th country to do it. And therefore, let's see if SpaDeX program becomes successful. But it was just a small, I can say, give you an update, because for the past 1 week, we've been talking about it, recently launched. However, the program has been delayed because of orbital correction maneuvers which were needed. So on this note, I will end this session. As I told you, not a lot in this newspaper, 5 to 6 things which need to be taken into consideration. AI, challenges of integrating AI into the defense system. Further, the issue related to National Youth Festival. What are the different aspects which have been talked about? My Bharat. Then we had talked about GI tagged concepts. I've done 2 questions with you. I hope that you'll answer it in the chat box also. Further, reminder, write your question again. I'll try to resolve it. And further, we discuss the concept of SpaDeX and the ultimate and unfortunate concept of how we've already reached to a point where we are in a certain point that we've reached 1.6 degrees Celsius. World War II session I will plan. Don't worry about that. I'm in the process of doing that. Don't worry in that sense. So we'll discuss that. I'm waiting for your question. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I will see you soon with another set of issues. Tomorrow, Astha ma'am will take the session. World War II session will be coming through. Don't worry about that. I'm planning it. We have to place it in a certain place. I hope that the session related to art and culture was sorted. Fragmented politics of AI means that there is no unified all India plan for AI integration. It is only related to different, you can say, ministry by ministry plan. All have to come together. Lalita. Thank you, Visha. Again, as I said, I am waiting for the question. Purchase you can have it is access only till ends on 31st August 2025. Now it's showing me to purchase again. Do one thing. See, that would be a server error in the background. We have seen that coming through. History reminder, you do one thing. You just email me or email any of our faculties. We'll get it resolved. Don't worry. We have seen that coming through. I've taken your comment. You just flag this to us. It would be a specific issue for you, not for everyone. So we'll get it sorted. It may be not properly tagged to you, or there is a tagging issue which we'll sort. So don't worry about it. Yes, electric cars are not the real solution because they use the electricity produced by thermal power plant. Until unless it is not renewable energy which is being used for charging those, you can say, cars, it makes no sense whatsoever. Okay. which is a better paper? Equally important, Pawan. Indian Express explained section is good. The Hindu, you have a lot of articles, and the UPSC is sometimes more inclined towards the Hindu newspaper. Okay. Thank you so much. I will see you soon. Thank you. Take care and bye-bye.